Well, am I sharing anything? Yes.
Yeah,
What am I sharing?
just the science and spirituality connection.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, so June 24th. And as usual, Chris, we start with our prayer every day. So, and we do that to harmonize the group and the energies and ask for protection. So, dear Brother Jesus, as we gather here today to learn from the Spirit teachings, from your loving message, and from each other life experiences, we ask you, please, to come beside us now. Lead us on our study today, on the days ahead of us, and through the time, mostly through the time when our mind cannot cope. Help us to find peace and calming in your thoughts. You hold us safe, Jesus, and please do the same for this group, for our mentors here with us today, for our family members, our houses, relatives, and all of those crossing our mind right now, as well as everyone in need, for you know them all, and you do not forget anyone. And so be it.
And so be it.
Okay, so guys, I think last time we talked about this. So the next discussion, book discussion about the series from André Luiz, Spiritual Realm series. So the next book we'll be talking about is The Messengers. Have any one of you read this book yet?
I just started.
No.
I just started it. And when are we going to discuss it?
I want to say in 2 Saturdays from now. So, and evidently, as you can imagine, the messengers, it does talk about the mediums, right?
Right.
The ones that will delivering the messages. So, but anyway, so yeah, so that's the discussion we'll hold. And if you want some time to finish the book, fine, and we can wait. This is up on, is up to us. We do not have a date per se. We do not have to follow that specific agenda. So before we start our reading today, I would like to bring this to you guys. This message is more food for thoughts, but also a recommendation. I do not know if you have this book, Our Daily Bread, from Chico Xavier and his spiritual guide, Emmanuel. In those gray days, I normally pick up this book because there is always a very nice message to me. It's not like a book that you read from page number 1 to the last one. It's rather something, that it contains lots of messages that you can read, in your daily basis. But and normally those messages, they're very, very nice. So a couple weeks ago, I was doing the gospel at home like I do every Tuesday night. And that's the message. And then I opened the book like out of nothing in it, whatever page. And this is the one that came out to me. And it was very, it was a very nice reinforcement. It was a very nice message, bringing me courage most of anything. So, and the title of that message is The But and Disciples. So normally this book, it shows the title, and then it comes with a phrase, a sentence from the Bible, and then Emmanuel, outline his comments. So the phrase from the Bible is, I can do everything through him who strengthens me. It strengthens me. So it was from Paul. And so the comment from Emmanuel says, dedicated disciples affirm, of myself, I possesses nothing that is good, but Jesus will provide resources according to my needs. I don't have perfect knowledge of the way, but Jesus will guide me. Lazy disciples declare, I don't disbelieve in goodness of Jesus, but I don't have the strength for Christian work either. I know that the way is through Jesus, but the world won't let me follow him. The former climb the mountain of resolution. They know their personal weaknesses, but they trust in the divine friend and choose to live according to his lessons. The latter enjoy rest in the deep valley of their former life. They recognize the blessings the Master has conferred upon them, but they prefer to avoid them. The former have set their mind on the divine light and pressed onward. The latter have stopped their thoughts on their own limitations. The but is the conjunction that in our speech usually defines our inner position before the gospel. When placed in front of the sacred name, it expresses firmness and trust, faith and true value. However, when placed after it, it expresses indecision and idleness, impermeability and indifference. Only 3 letters denote our course. My principles recommend this, but Jesus asks me for something else. Jesus advises me to do this, but I cannot. Though one simple and small word, we profess our faith or confess our ineffectiveness. Let us recall that in spite of being stoned and persecuted, Paul of Tarsus could still affirm victoriously to the Philippians, I can do everything through him who strengthens me. So, yeah, it was very powerful message to me in a key moment that I was thinking, oh gosh, I cannot do it anymore. But yes, we can, right? We all can. All right, so, okay. Oh, okay, yeah. Last time we stopped on this question under law of liberty, freedom of conscience. Question number A42. All doctrines claim to be the sole expression of their of the truth. How can we recognize the one that is most deserving of this title? The truest doctrine is the one that has fewest hypocrites and the greatest number of truly virtuous individuals. In other words, people practicing the law of charity in its greatest purity and in its widest application. This is how you may recognize a true doctrine, because any doctrine that causes rifts between God's children is nothing but false and evil. So with that, let's go ahead and do A43. And now we just start with free will. In the question A43, do human beings have free will in their action? Any comment before?
I always tell my girls that the free will that we have is very limited because
Oh, Leda, you put yourself on mute.
Yes, well, I can say, yes, we have free will, except, of course, where the government forbids you to do things. But your choice is always yours.
Yes. Yes. Go ahead, Leda. You're on mute.
can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
I always tell my girls that our free will is limited because sometimes they think, oh, we have free will, we can do everything. And we always have a choice. I agree with Hyacinth, but it's a choice in what you think, in how to act, in how to behave. But sometimes we don't have many choices in regarding our day by day life. There are things that we don't like and we have to do it still. And we would rather be in different situations, but life puts us in a way that we can choose sometimes. And that's when the law of cause and effect come. This law comes and then you are limited sometimes, many times.
Yeah. Like Paul
But
said.
later, sorry, but later, you can choose not to obey the government and the restrictions. But we choose to because that makes life easier. But your children are under your control, so they may not do what they want because mama says, no,
Yeah,
not yet.
you're right. You're right.
So, hi, Cynthia, you will know what Paul said. I can do everything, but not everything is fair for me to do something like this.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, it's always your choice, but for an easy life or for a less violent life or whatever, then we go along with it.
Yeah.
Because yeah.
Not
There's
everything suits you.
There's a lovely philosophical poster appeared that I saw recently, and it says this: if God is omnipotent, why does he allow evil to exist?
Because he gave you free will. That's
exactly. That is exactly the answer. It's a picture of Jesus on the Mount saying, and Jesus is answering, evil exists because we have free will.
Exactly.
And then the next question asked from the crowd is there evil in heaven? And Jesus answers, of course there is no evil in heaven.
Wouldn't be heaven if there were evil.
Yeah.
If there were, no, exactly. And then the next question is there free will in heaven? No, well,
there is.
Yeah, but I think that just
possibility is.
Sorry, it's a silly poster, but it's pointing out the anomaly in this in the discussion, which means that, of course, that heaven is a series of increasingly refined dimensions, and the free will which exists in all of them is increasingly defined by love, which, as everybody knows, is the real source of everything. Mm-hmm. So you can't put all that, just putting the
yes.
Traditional
yes, but there is no evil in heaven.
Well, of course not. But is there free will in heaven?
Well, so there's no need for free will. We're just going along doing what we do.
So there is. So, okay, look, it's supposed to be funny, all right? Because it's a question of terminology, not reality.
But I think that in heaven, you know.
Leda, please.
Yeah.
I like so much this joke that you made, Giles, because there is a sentence by Saint Augustine. Is that the name, Saint Augustine? He says, love and you can do everything. If you love, It's a very famous quote of his. If you love, you can do everything. So actually, I believe there is more free will in heaven
love.
than there is here, because love finds many ways. Love finds ways, finds paths that we couldn't imagine. So I believe in heaven there is much more freedom than here in earth.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, following those questions here, we will see that the less evolved the being is, the less the free will, right? So the more evolved, the more the free will, meaning you are more mature, you are more wise, you are wiser, and yeah, you love more, you know more about love.
Yeah.
Yep. So Leda, you were the last. Would you please read the answer for us? And you are on mute. Okay.
Since they have freedom of thought, they also have freedom of action. Without free will, they would be nothing more than machines.
Yep. Yeah. Comments or no? Very straightforward. So A40. Come on, computer. Okay. A44. Do human beings have free will from birth?
Not according to Leda, Mama says no.
So the answer.
Only because they can't talk
Yeah.
at birth.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, they cry. So the answer, they possesses free will from the moment when they possesses the will to act. See, in the earliest phase of human life, free will is almost non-existent. It
There
is
you go,
developed
Leda, you're
exactly.
right.
It is developed and changed with development of the faculties. Children, Leda's children, having thoughts that match the wants of their age, apply their free will to the things that are necessary corresponding to that age. I mean, it's talking about children, but also if we think about us and us as children, because remember, we are in the kindergarten of our evolution path. So
Yeah.
we are doing things that are necessary corresponding to our level, right? So to our evolution.
Okay, I'm going to go. I'll see you at 11.
Okay.
Okay, right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
At
Bye-bye,
11 my
Hyacinth.
time. Yes, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Bye, Hyacinth.
Bye. So A45, now we have, are they instinctive tendencies that human beings have at the birth an obstacle to the exercise of their free will? Any comment in that? Are the instinctive tendencies that human beings have at the birth an obstacle to the exercise of their free will?
I believe we always, even as babies, we always put our wishes out in the world. But of course, we are very limited. But you can still choose between crying and not crying, and being difficult, or expressing very harder feelings or not, right?
Yeah, at some point, matter is kind of still having a very high influence, right? And ego as well. So Giles, please.
Well, as usual, this is dependent on how many incarnations that
Yeah.
individual soul has had. Should that soul be on their first round of incarnations, then they will be, of course, running pretty much on animal instincts, and which I don't have to list out. And their karma is not so all-encompassing, because karma knows when somebody is not deserving of perfect rendition of karma. But then later on, when let's say we reach the halfway mark, as all of us here are at least at the halfway mark, if not over. That's what I like to think. Otherwise, we wouldn't be listening to any of this stuff.
Yeah.
Then the instinctive predispositions that a man brings with him at birth, well, these are now the result of many thousands of incarnations, which means there is a strong characteristic behavior which we have learned. And that's what the purpose of all the incarnations is, learning. And this is what is not taken away from us when we forget everything. We forget our day-to-day activities, but our character comes with us in the incarnation. So as we are proceeding in our incarnations, then, well, it says it in the answer. It says that if he is but little
read the answer
advanced-
for us, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll read your answer, not mine, because mine's better. But
I like your version.
okay, well, my version says, a man's instinctive predispositions are those which belong to his spirit before this incarnation. If he is but little advanced, they may incite him to wrongdoing, in which he will be seconded by spirits that sympathize with that wrongdoing. But no incitement is irresistible when there is a determination to resist. And remember that to will is to be able.
Yeah.
Where there is a will, there is a way. Yeah, that's as good as good an answer as any.
Yeah.
Chris, you're dressed in black and you're in a black background. Is this normal?
That's
Yes,
his
I
studio.
work in the studio. So
Ah.
you have must about this question. You have must more feeling than think. You know, you have to practice feeling. You must practice feeling more than we think, because feeling connects us to our spirituality, and our thoughts connect us our instinct. You know, you have to more practice feeling more than we have practice feeling more than think. You know.
Come on, Chris,
Yeah.
say it in Portuguese. There's at least 50% of the people here are Portuguese. No, 60% are Portuguese speakers. So let's hear it. Say it in Portuguese, what you just said.
I think he wants to practice the Portuguese, right, Giles?
Of course.
A gente precisa de desenvolver mais o nosso sentimento do que o nosso pensamento. Sentir primeiro do que pensar.
Yeah, translation, we need to evolve or develop our heart, our feelings, much more than our intellectual capabilities. Feel or feelings before thinking. Yeah, I want to say the more than anything, at least in this world, we are more like we go by our intellect rather than our heart, right? So that's what we do. And as we just follow intellect, well, some of us, because some of us is just as we follow the intellect, we miss the feeling part, and then we misjudge and we do mistakes a lot.
I have followed my intellect in order to make money and failed miserably. I've followed my heart in all other matters and been amazingly lucky and successful.
See? Funny, Giles.
Do you want that in Portuguese?
No, we can get you. It's okay.
Yeah, not only you, but yeah. Anyway, so 846, does our body influence the acts of our life? Okay, we were talking about this a little bit. If so, does this influence constitute a violation of our free will? Does our body influence the acts of our life? If so, does this influence constitute a violation of our free will? What do you think, Carol?
Well, I was sitting here trying to figure out. I have a very left brain, so I'm like, well,
I know, that's why I asked you, because you were like, what is the question about?
I mean, our body influence the acts of our life. What are they talking about?
Like, for
Born as a
example,
quadriplegic, or we're born with a serious illness, or
yes,
that's where I was
illness,
going.
yeah, illness, or sometimes our like, for example, somebody that has serious problems with, I don't know, addiction, for example, drugs, etc. Because we know the body has, some weaknesses.
No, keep it simple.
Yes.
You're born tall and strong and beautiful, or you're born short and fat and ugly.
No,
Hey,
it's not what I mean.
Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Don't get complicated about the different kinds
No.
of diseases or in things. These things have an enormous effect on the way you play out in the world. Because if you're short and fat and ugly, you get kicked around a lot. And if you're tall and beautiful and wonderful, you don't get kicked around a lot. So,
Well, now I don't think that's necessarily true, because
but try being born black in America. It doesn't matter what you are then. You can be tall or short or anything. You are in a bad way if you're born black in America. That's let's keep away from diseases or physical problems. The physical problem is, what do you look like?
But it's not your act then, it's other people's
No, of
acts
course, it's
against
always
you.
other people's act. You get bullied in school, they kick you around. It's other people's act. What can you do?
It is two ways, Giles. Like, for example,
vague. What's vague about being
no,
born
I
black
said
and
it,
short and ugly
no,
in
I'm
America?
not, I didn't say vague. I said two ways. Let me tell you why. In Brazil, I never felt, yeah, there were some bullies, etc., when I was younger, when I was a student, and, like everybody else.
Yes.
I was not. However, at first, I was in shock when I came over here, and I saw myself in a situation of prejudice. And believe me, I was like, what is this about? This person doesn't know me. And yet it was judging me just because it was just running over. And yeah, but anyway, so okay, so let's read the question. The answer.
But Anna, you rose above that because of the way you were treated. You rose above it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. I mean, I don't take personal.
Right. You rose above. Yeah.
I just think it is whatever experience the other people live, or or, you know, it's
Right.
based on their,
They're on a different journey.
yeah. So it's
So
okay.
they
So,
don't understand, you
yeah,
know.
I just move on. I said, whatever, you know.
Yeah,
it's just-
yeah.
So Carol, would you please read the answer? Can you read it? Do you need glasses?
Spirits are definitely influenced by matter, which may hold them back in their manifestations. This is why in worlds where the body is less material than on Earth, the faculties are exercised more freely. However, it is important to remember that the instrument does not confer with the faculty. You must also distinguish between moral and intellectual faculties. If some individuals have the instinct to commit murder, their spirits possess it, not their bodies. Those who obliterate their thoughts solely to care about matter become like animals. And even worse, they no longer try to protect themselves from iniquity. This constitutes culpability because they act of their own free will.
Yeah.
That was a long answer.
It's a long answer, but yeah, a lot of things, good
Yes, and
thoughts.
I can resist strongly that part of that answer that says you become like an animal when you behave badly. No, you've been an animal. Otherwise, you couldn't become a human. At
Yeah.
least that's my my current understanding and belief that we have done with animal. And it doesn't mean that we were good animals.
Are you
Yeah.
talking about like animals, like, you know, dogs and
Yes,
cats, or are you talking?
yes.
No, some people they are even worse than our loving animals, our loving cats and dogs.
Okay, like hyenas and
Exactly.
alligators.
Yes, that's a very
Yeah,
good
yeah.
comparison.
There's some serious animals for you, and a leopard. Leda, I'm sorry,
No, I just have to say as a lawyer that back in this time of Kardec, there were some lawyers, some men of law that tried to connect the bodies, the facial types, to criminals. So that was a study that they made. One of the men was Lombroso from Italy, I guess. And they tried to connect the morality of individuals to the physical body. But of course, that was dismissed. And today, nobody thinks like that. But it was considered before. That's why I think the spirits gave such an answer.
And when that was, Leda, again?
that was
Lombroso?
Leda is absolutely right. It was very big in America in the late 1890s and 1910s.
Yeah.
And when Hitler started up with his story about, you can tell by the race determines the character of the person, there was a large portion of the American public, I hesitate to say, was it 30, was it 40%, that loved what he was saying. And that's why America would not join the Second World War until later, because they liked the attitude. Eugenics, it's called, EUGNICS.
Eugenics, yeah.
And America has got a shameful record in eugenics. While they pretend otherwise, of course, but that's getting close to history, sociology, politics, who knows?
So where did you get those statistics, Giles? Just out of,
Look them
I mean,
up.
I would like to look it
Look
up.
up eugenics in around the turn of the century, and you will get your fill of it. The internet's
I
got
will
everything.
read it. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
It makes very unhappy reading. And just like Leda said, that in Brazil was going along with it just fine. They didn't outlaw slavery until 1888 in Brazil, which was a bit later compared to other civilized
Everybody
countries.
else, yeah, yep.
Yeah, I think they were the last. So history is a very disturbing period to read human history in the last 5,000 years.
Well, and it isn't always written correctly either.
No,
Right.
but you can
mean-
get the general gist of it, that it was nastiness compounded upon nastiness compounded upon
Oh, my.
selfishness. You get the general gist
Well,
as you read. Yeah, and there's
let-
areas where people did beautiful things, like the Languedoc, where the whole Christian, I forget what they were called, but they called themselves something different, and they were vegetarians. They looked after the animals. They looked after society. They were beautiful. And they ran this it was after St. Francis of Assisi. Somebody should be able to remember what it was now in the Languedoc. Anyway, the church suddenly stood up and said, we don't like these people being good. They're disgusting. Let's declare them heretics. And so they had them all killed.
Mhm.
Killed and burned. And come on, doesn't anybody remember what that group was called in Languedoc?
No, but I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, that was a bit later, after St. Francis of Assisi. That was, I think, 14 or 1300, somewhere around then. Anyway, there's history makes this depressing reading.
Yeah.
And it's hard to hold the flag of righteous behavior.
Yeah, it's the way that we evolve, right? So we need to remember this is not a world evolved yet, and as such, matter, evil will still be predominant.
Yes,
Yeah.
and will Earth always be a school?
It has been a very tough school.
I mean, but will it ever not be, will it ever evolve to the point where I think we're the only school that I've ever read about in the galaxies and universes?
Well, in the automatic writings that I've come across, they say there are hundreds of thousands of planets with civilizations on them, and most of them are more civilized than this one, which
Yeah, because
means
this. Mhm.
the challenges are not as strong. And this one is a very popular
Well,
place for
yeah,
incarnations,
but-
because
Yeah, this is a word of the third level, so they're much more, going
But I
up.
mean,
you can choose.
will there
you
ever
can
be a
choose-
time when there doesn't have to be a lot of levels to go through? Do you know what I'm saying?
Well,
Mhm. Oh, Giles.
sorry, I'm jumping in, but that will be towards the end of the universe, and the end of the universe is hundreds of billions of years away. So there's really
Yeah.
not much point in talking about it.
Yeah.
Because the dark energy and dark matter are absolutely not understood, and that's what is it, 96.1% of the known matter in the universe.
Yep.
So it strikes me more than once that if the matter in the universe is 96% something else,
Yep.
then how can we say that the 4.6% that is us was the universe was made for us?
It's evidently
The
not. And
universe
by the
was-
way, we just say dark matter, dark energy, just because we have no idea what
Yes,
exactly that
yes, I
is.
know.
Exactly.
I know.
So we
But-
just say, okay, it's a black box.
So 96% of the universe is made for dark energy and dark matter. It takes a big mouth to say suddenly, the 4.6% of what we know is made, therefore the whole thing is made for us. So- we got to
Sorry, no.
tone it down a bit. And then the next thing, which is equally dismaying, is that of these 4.6%, which is real matter, and you know this as well as I do, Anna, 95% is hydrogen and helium.
And helium, exactly, yeah.
Hydrogen and helium. So that's 95% of it. The remaining 5% is is proper elements. I mean, serious elements.
Everything
So-
else, yeah.
So how can we say that the universe of that 95%, that 5%, and then again 95% is only 5%, how can we say that, oh, it's all for us, it's made in order that Sorry.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but not. All
it takes a
right.
pretty big ego to say that this stuff is all made for
Uh-huh.
us.
Exactly, yeah. So
Sorry.
A47, do anomalies of the faculties deprive individuals of their free will? That's a very interesting question, especially when we think about those incarnations when we
Any
when
lawyer
we
will tell you,
need-
as Lida will tell you in a moment, that that there's, when you go into court, if you can show that your client is mad, clinically mad, then he goes to a lunatic asylum. He doesn't go to prison, and it that's in the law as we know it now. In 1855, I don't think that was in the law. Leda can correct me if I'm wrong, or anybody who knows. What was the law in 1855? Could you use mental disability as an excuse in
You
court?
mean like insanity?
Yes, well, mental disability.
Well, that takes
Insanity.
in a lot of stuff, you know.
Yes, I
Yeah.
know it does. My client is insane, therefore he doesn't go to jail. Therefore he goes to a lunatic asylum where he's
I
fed
didn't
3
want to
square
go
meals a
to
day.
I didn't want to go to an asylum in 1855. No.
Yeah, it's worse than going to jail, probably.
Yeah, okay.
But
So-
it reminds me of a movie by Tom Cruise. I don't know if you've watched it. It's Minority Report.
Yeah,
In which
I saw that.
yeah, it's a movie where you can predict if someone is going to be a criminal or not, depending on the way they behave, the choices that they make. And so they started to arrest people before they actually committed the crime. So and that is wrong in so many ways, because you can get to almost doing it and still have the free will to give up
Say no.
on doing that, right? So of course the body may influence, and we have other psychology, raising a person in the wrong way, traumatizing the person. That all, I believe, all of that will interfere in the free will, but you still have to believe in the human being and in the ability of being healed and cured and doing the right thing.
Yeah. This also reminds me again about Chico Xavier Leda, because he was his mediumship capability was so beyond everything else. So basically he could do anything, like literally anything, right? So he was writing books, but he could see, he could talk, he could listen, he could do materialization, he could do anything. And I remember this story that he also knew, he even knew when the person was about to die. Remember this? And then sometimes he was meeting some friends, and all of a sudden he knew the person was about to pass, to die, and that was really causing him a lot of problems, because some people he knew and he was just sad about, he could not do anything, right? It was just an information, a piece of information. He didn't know what to do with that, but it was causing him to be very sad. So he asked to be for that capability to be blocked, and not know anymore, when someone was about to die. And that request was accepted, right?
Yeah, and so we all have this freedom to ask, to be relieved in so many ways, like he did with that. So the spirits accepted his request, and so praying is our way to get to the good spirits and to God, and ask them to help us with our needs and our choices as well, because our choices are influenced by the good spirits and the bad spirits.
Oh, yeah.
Like Chris was saying, right? If we
Mhm.
we have to know ourselves better and know our feelings, so that we can have the good choices,
Mhm.
and never let the needs of our body and our the ways things are imposed to us be the most important thing. Even when you have a burden like Chico did, he could still have his choices, right?
Mhm. Yep. Yeah. Evidently. Thank you. So, Giles, would you please read the answer?
Okie doke. He whose intelligence is deranged by any cause whatever is no longer master of his thoughts and is therefore no longer free. Mental aberration is often a punishment for the spirit who, in another existence, has been vain or haughty, or has made bad use of his faculties. For bad use, selfish. He may be reborn in the body of an idiot, or as a despot may be reborn in the body of a slave, and the hard-headed possessor of riches in that of a beggar. But the spirit suffers from this constraint, of which the spirit is fully conscious, and is this constraint that you see the action of matter. That's slightly different from the other one, not clear enough.
That's
Yeah.
the law of cause and effect.
Exactly.
So
Yes, exactly.
it's all very connected to our free will, because the law of cause and effect limits free will.
Mhm.
So the more that we damage the world, less free will that we will have in the future. And the more that we love and do the right thing, more free will we'll have in the future.
As a matter of fact, I was reading this book. I mean, this is Portuguese, but I believe there is an English version. Is Maria or Mary, Mother of Jesus. And this book has a lot of, it's a collection of some notes or messengers from Chico Xavier and this medium, very powerful medium as well, like Chico in Brazil. And her name was Yvonne Pereira. So this book is a collection of those messengers, like channeled messengers, and talks about Mary. And evidently, as it talks about Mary, it talks about Jesus. And yesterday, I was reading a note, and it was talking about Jesus' life when he was a young boy, just any other boy. And it did call my attention the fact that I'm not gonna say what the book, if you were interested in reading this book, or if you want to hold a discussion about this book, I think is a very nice book, by the way. So it did caught my attention that what the book was saying is that even though Jesus, as this planetary governor, he was such a very high elevated spirit, but once he was here with us as a human being, he also felt the same influences of the flesh, of the body, of the matter, but he was constantly making choices, right? So to the point that at some point he said to his mother, because his mother evidently was always concerned about him, always. So he chose to work with his father in their shop, right? So
Carpentry.
Carpenter. So, yeah, thank you. I forgot that word. And what he said to her was very interesting, because then it was like, oh my goodness, this is like, it was not always straight. Like he knew exactly what to do. He was constantly deciding between something and something else, one thing and another, what to do. And that was, oh yeah, that's how powerful the matter and this body, the influence of the body is to us. So very
Anna,
nice.
who is the author?
The author, like I said, you see here is Chico and this lady Yvonne Pereira, but there is a coordinator that is Edson Carneiro. I do not know if you can see it.
I can't see it. PIE.
Yvonne Pereira.
Yeah, I'm gonna put in a chat.
Okay, thank you.
Leda, put it in a chat, please.
Okay, I don't think this will be translated to English, Anna, but I'll check.
Oh. Oh,
If not, I can bring some Yvonne. Xavier.
but you don't think it's in English?
Leda said, I didn't, yeah. I didn't, yeah. Leda will do a quick search for us. I don't think there is any, but anyway, it's a very nice book, by the way. Very, very nice. So Hyacinth is back.
I'm
So
back.
let's go ahead and come on. 848 is the impairment of the intellectual faculties produced by drunkenness and an excuse for reprehensible behavior.
No,
Oh,
No,
no. If it's drunkenness, no.
yeah. So the answer no, because alcoholics have voluntarily deprived themselves of their reason to satisfy their unrefined passions. They commit 2 crimes instead of just 1. So
I can tell you. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I remembered a friend who was pretty well drunk a lot of the times.
Mhm.
And he said, I drink to forget.
Mhm.
He was a young man, and really it was great, very sad because it was wasting his life.
I'm telling you, I lived with one as my father was drinking always, and it was, oh gosh, it was tough.
Mm.
849, what is the dominant faculty of savages? Is it instinct or free will? Oh, that's an interesting one.
I should imagine that if there are savages, it must be instinct.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Giants.
Do you really want me to comment on that? Who defines a savage? Well, in 1850, the English Empire could decide what a savage was, and that was everybody else.
No, they are talking about the like
Yes, they are. What are they talking about exactly? That's the question.
they're talking about the Native Americans, from north to south.
Really? Now, some of those people were among the most advanced and civilized people. So it's a question, of course.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
It's just taking the typical understanding of 1855 of savages are not people that wear boots, for example.
But let me tell you, I heard from an old lady, and she was a Native American. She is a Native American, and she was telling stories about from her grandmother, and her grandmother told her stories of, like, that everybody see or think about Native Americans' life with a lot of romance, because in her life, it was not really easy to clean the things and or hang the hands of the enemies when her husband was coming back from a fight or something. For her it was really shocking. So anyway, it's cultural, and what can we say, right? So
well, there's something very much worth saying, because I think everybody here has forgotten, as usual. The average age that humans arrived at the top of the bell curve was 45 years in 1950.
yeah.
Okay, so prior to that, it was worse than 45.
Yeah.
So when we look at a civilization, are we to say that the longest lived group, the ones with the best longevity among those groups, were the most advanced? Well, yes and no is the answer. But since in 2023, the global age is now 73, such a thing has never happened before in the history of humanity. There has never been a time when a group has got an average age of death of 73, an average longevity. So whatever we're looking at is prior to this, and so it's easy to judge based on that. And I'm not judging based on that, but it's certainly a hell of a change since 1950 to 2020. To go from 45 to 73 is amazing.
Yeah.
This huge change that ions thing was talking about is happening.
Not only that, not only about longevity, but today we support much more people living, right? Like today we are what? Almost 8 billion?
8 point, I thought it was 8.5 now, but.
Well, that's probably not going to last, but we've certainly made an average age of a longevity of 73, and that is amazing. And nobody ever mentions it.
Sorry, is this in all countries?
Global.
No, this
Global.
average, yeah.
This is
Like-
the global average longevity is 73.
Meaning
all
some
countries.
people, yeah, some countries more, some countries less.
Yes, exactly.
Yes,
They're
because
saying in
this is what I
2021
mean. This is what I
20
mean, because in 1950, there are plenty of people in my area
Mhm.
who were in their 70s, 80s, 90s.
Yes, indeed. But
Yeah.
the average longevity globally was 45. Now,
Yeah.
don't take my word for it. Do your own search. Because
No,
when
no,
I
no,
found
I'm-
this, I
I'm-
was flabbergasted and said, this can't be true. The average age of longevity of a human is 25. Look at what they sent to the Vietnam War, average age 19. What was the average age in north of England in 1830? 19. That was the average longevity in England. And so I looked, and place after place after place gave variations on these figures, but around the same. 46, 42, 43, 44. And then for 2020, they were giving 71, 72, 74, and so on. But so it was, anyway, make your own search.
Yeah, I imagine though, it must be a lot of people who lived in polluted cities.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. And they lived in famine-strict areas. And they
Yeah, that's what I was about to
war-torn
say.
areas,
Sometimes
and-
because of the war, sometimes because they have no food, sometimes because the sanitary condition was too poor. Anyway. So Giles, please read the answer for us. It's gonna be the last one.
Oh my, what are we on? 849, 849.
849.
What is the dominant faculty of man in the savage state? Is it instinct or free will? The answer is instinct, which, however, does not prevent his acting with entire freedom in certain things. But like the child, he uses his freedom for the satisfaction of his needs and obtains its development only through the development of intelligence. Consequently, you, who are more enlightened than the savage, are more blamable than the savage if you do wrong.
See? Responsibility.
You get a longer prison
Responsibility.
sentence because you should have known better. Yes.
Yeah, because you knew and you did it, right?
Well, yeah, that's how karma works, but not in. That's interesting that it should say that, because I said that earlier. I said, if you have just your first few hundred incarnations as a human, karma doesn't hold you to blame so much.
Mhm.
When you are further advanced and know better, then karma holds you very much to blame because you should have known better.
I would like to say something here about treating people as children, as that answer claimed, because this has been the cause for a lot of injustice and prejudice,
Mhm.
because you claim that some people are as children
Mhm.
because they are not of your own culture.
Mhm.
And this is having big repercussions today.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's very true. Guys, is 4:14 here in Houston. Time to go. I'll not hold you guys anymore. I know you were looking at this webinar, and I will let you go so you guys can.
No, the webinar is over. No.
Oh, it's over? Okay, so
Yes.
it's just today?
23:14, yes.